Hi, sixth grade trumpet players. It's Mr. Y, obviously. I'm going to walk you through your quizzes for this year. The final quizzes for the year are 55, 67, 74, and 107 in the Essential Elements book. So I'll be walking you through those. On 55, dynamics are pretty easy. You've got forte all the way through. Be careful to save just a little bit though, because you've got some accents. There's accents three C's in a row on the end of the first line, and then an F and a D and a G all on the second line in various places. So make sure those notes are just a little bit louder than the other notes, and you'll be fine. Finding my first note on the C. 2, 3. Make sure you play those accents just a little bit louder. My accents on the second line were pretty good. My accents in the first line you couldn't really hear. I'd make a bigger deal about them if I did it again. Also be careful on this one. Remember, when you get to 16th notes, the 16th notes are not the hard part. It's really the quarter notes that are hard because they feel so long. Remember, they're 4 times the length of the 16th note. So like for instance, in measure number 3 on the F, make sure that F is nice and long. And then the same thing on the second line, you have a quarter note rest and then a quarter note. So 1, rest. Make sure you release your tongue through this whole thing too. No Bob Dylan's allowed. There's not a single slur in this whole thing. So you do have to use your tongue really, really well. Okay, moving on to number 67, we have, remember your key signature is really an important thing here. The B flat scale study. You've got B flats, first valve, and you've also got E flats. Now, there are kind of 3 flats in the scale because you've got the first B flat, of course. You've also got the top B flat, which is also first valve. And then in the middle, you've got the E flat. So watch out for your fingers. Remember, B flat, first valve, C, D, and then E flat is second and third, not first and second like a regular E. After the E flat comes F and G and A, and then high B flat up on top too. And then coming down, of course, the same way, A, G, F, E flat, D, C, B flat, first valve. And then you've got some rhythm on the second line to worry about. 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and 3. Make sure you get a good sound all the way through. You should have no problem at all. Again, there's no slurs at all in this one. There's one little tie at the end, but no slurs at all. So make sure you really use your tongue. 67. Little triple on the low B flats there at the end with the sound. That probably would have been about a 19 out of 20 if I was grading myself. Nothing too exciting to worry about here. Just make sure you get the B flats and E flats. If you do mess up those, you're going to have lots of notes wrong. So you're going to start out with a pretty low score. Make sure that you check the key signature first of all. That's the really most important thing on this one. Okay, number 74. Same key signature as number 67, by the way. So remember, you still have B flats, you still have E flats. They're in different places here. Plus, of course, we have a couple other things to worry about. Forte on the first line. Then remember, for the second line, you're going way down to mezzo piano. And at the end of the second line, you're crescendoing back up to forte because you have a DC al fine at the end of the second line, which takes you back to the beginning of the first line. So really, you're playing the first line, forte, then the second line, mezzo piano. Then you're coming back to forte again for the first line to make sure you play it all the way through. There are a couple of accents too. Actually, just one little accent. The very last note of the first line, that low B flat, first valve, is an accent. There are some slurs here to worry about too. And the rests on line 2 are all on beat 2. So you've got on line 2, G, G, rest. A, B, B, ba, ba, da, da, rest. Ba, 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 da, ba, 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 rest. Ba, 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 da, 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 da. And in that last measure, you've got the crescendo, of course, because you're coming back up to forte for the first line. Okay, so here's number 74. Okay, moving to 107. This is the memorized one, remember, but it is just a chromatic scale. Okay, let me walk you through the notes. C, of course, is nothing. C sharp, remember, is all three valves. Okay, then we have D. Then we have D sharp. D sharp is the same as E flat. That's second and third valve. We've already played that a couple times during the quizzes. Okay, then we have E, F natural, regular rolled F, first valve. F sharp is middle valve, remember. Then we have G. G sharp is 2 and 3, just like an A flat if you've ever seen that one before. Okay. Then after that is A. A sharp you more commonly know as a B flat, but it is the same exact note. So A sharp and B flat, also first valve. Okay. Then we have regular old B, B natural, and then high C. And then coming back down, remember they are the same exact notes, just coming back in the other direction, and they are written as flats coming on the way down. So C, B, then you have B flat, was called an A sharp before, but it's the same thing. A flat was called the G sharp before, but it's the same thing, second and third valve. G, G flat is more commonly known as F sharp. Okay. Then we have F, E, E flat 2 and 3, D, D flat is also known as C sharp, so that's all three valves, and then a low C. Okay. You can tell this is right because if you go to the piano and you just play all the white keys and black keys in order, that's a chromatic scale, and you'll hear what it sounds like. Okay. Finding the C. And again, on all these quizzes, remember you can play them as fast or slow as you want to, as long as it's nice and steady. You can play them any particular tempo you want to, slow, fast, medium, whatever, as long as it's nice and steady. I don't care. Always make sure to get a good sound on all these quizzes, and on all quizzes that I do. Sound is always the most important thing when you're playing an instrument. Nobody cares you can play Flight of the Bumblebee at 8,000 miles an hour if you sound like a pregnant hippo.